Eliza Moore stood at the edge of the gravel drive, the collar of her coat turned up against the wind that cut through the dense trees like a blade. Before her loomed Ashwood Estate, a decaying monument of Gothic splendor hidden deep within the New Hampshire woods. The three-story mansion stood like a forgotten relic, its once grand exterior now cloaked in ivy, its tall windows dim with grime. A wrought iron gate, rusted and askew, hung open behind her, as though even it had given up trying to keep things in or out. She shifted the envelope in her gloved hands. Inside, it was a letter from a law firm she'd never heard of, informing her that she had inherited Ashwood from a distant relative, one Annabelle Ashwood, a name that stirred no memory. The letter had arrived 2 weeks ago, wrapped in aged parchment and sealed with a wax emblem of a crescent moon and tree roots. Strange. She'd almost dismissed it as a scam, but the paperwork had been legal and binding. The property was hers, and so here she was. The front door groaned open with surprising ease. The smell hit her first. Old wood, mold, and the unmistakable scent of something buried. Dust motes danced in the gray light filtering through tall, arched windows. The entry hall was grand despite the decay. Twin staircases spiraled upward on either side of a cracked marble floor, and a chandelier hung overhead, cobwebbed and swaying slightly. She took a hesitant step inside. The floor creaked under her weight like it hadn't been disturbed in years. "Hello?" she called out, her voice echoing through the cavernous space. It bounced back to her, warbled and wrong. She froze. It sounded like someone had whispered it back. A chill snaked down her spine. She shook it off. "Get a grip, Eliza." The first night was cold. The old fireplaces were too clogged to use, and the radiator system, assuming it still worked, would take time to inspect. She'd brought a sleeping bag, flashlights, and enough food for a few days. A contractor was scheduled to visit next week. Until then, it was just her and the silence. Only it wasn't silent. Around 2 a.m., Eliza stirred from a shallow sleep. Something had woken her. A sound. Faint. Whispers. She sat up, heart thudding. The whispering was soft, almost imperceptible, like someone speaking through a wall. Too low to make out the words, but definitely there. She clicked on her flashlight. The beam caught nothing unusual, just cracked wallpaper, a worn armchair, and a family portrait hanging askew. The portrait hadn't been there earlier. It depicted a stern man with a pointed beard, a woman with hollow eyes, and a small girl in a frilled dress. None of them smiled. The background was a painted interior, tall windows and wallpaper that looked eerily similar to the room she now sat in. Eliza's breath fogged in the cold air. Then the light flickered, just for a moment. But when it steadied, the portrait was different. The little girl's eyes now stared directly at her. She gasped and stumbled back. The whispering rose like wind under a door, then abruptly stopped. Morning brought no peace. She explored the house, flashlight and notebook in hand. The layout was complex. Hallways that looped, rooms that shouldn't exist, doors that opened into brick walls. She found herself in a library with no windows and books arranged by languages she didn't recognize. One volume fell from the shelf when she walked by it. Its cover was leather, scorched on the edges. Inside, only a single sentence was legible. "We live between the layers of breath and brick." Eliza shut it, spine prickling. Later, she found the attic. Boxes upon boxes of old belongings, photos, yellowed letters, trunks with broken locks. In one dusty corner stood a child's rocking but eyes seemed to follow her. That's when she found the journal. It had been wedged behind a rafter, wrapped in cloth and bound in twine. The name on the front, Margaret Ashwood. The entries were written in tight, elegant script, detailing life in the house. Normal things at first, sewing, guests, weather. But as the pages turned, the tone shifted. "The walls are not quiet," Margaret wrote. "At night, they murmur like water through pipes, but there is no plumbing. I saw Mother standing at the top of the stairs last night, but she's been buried for 2 weeks." Another entry. "I hear them louder now. They know I see them. I tried to tell Father, but he slapped me. Said I was mad like Grandmother, but Grandmother died in the blue room. They never found her body." The final entry was only a sentence. "They whisper in the walls. They know I see them now." Eliza closed the journal with trembling fingers. That night, the dreams came. She was standing in a long hallway, unfamiliar, endless. The walls pulsated, soft and breathing. She walked toward a door at the end, hearing whispers in languages she didn't understand. Just before she reached it, a hand shot from the wall and grabbed her wrist. She woke up screaming. Outside her sleeping bag, claw marks had appeared on the wooden floorboards. 4 long gashes, fresh and deep. She didn't sleep again. By day 3, Eliza was unraveling. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. Her phone wouldn't connect to any network. Even the GPS was glitching, telling her she was off-road in a lake several miles away. The whispering had grown bolder. Now it sometimes called her name. Eliza. Always from behind, always from inside the walls. She went to the town of Greystone, 15 minutes away. The townsfolk were cold, cagey. When she mentioned Ashwood, eyes narrowed. An old woman at the diner said only, "Best to let ghosts rot alone." No one else would speak of it, but a man at the hardware store, after some coaxing, muttered, "Ashwoods always said the walls talked. Old Silas built that house with secrets in mind. Said he wanted to hear the other side." He paused. Some say he succeeded. That night, Eliza heard a knock on the bedroom wall. Not the door. The wall, she froze. The knocking came again. 3 slow raps. She pressed her ear against the plaster. For a moment, there was silence. Then, clear as day, a voice whispered, "Let me in." She jumped back. The wall cracked down to center. The next morning, Eliza noticed something she hadn't before. In the front hall, just behind the staircase, the wallpaper pattern changed. Barely, but noticeably. The vines twisted in unnatural ways, like they were forming shapes. Letters. She peeled it back. There was a wooden panel underneath, different from the rest of the wall. A hidden door. It creaked open to reveal a narrow hallway, barely wide enough to walk through. Dust choked the air. The walls here were raw, exposed wood, and the sound, whispers loud and constant, grew deafening. At the end of the hall was a door painted blue. A heavy padlock hung from the handle. Her flashlight dimmed. The whispers fell silent. Etched into the wood were words burned into the frame. "The Blue Room!" Eliza stepped back. The house groaned. Back in her room, she found the family portrait on the floor. The girl was gone. She ran. She drove to a motel in Greystone, shaking, exhausted, terrified. But when she woke the next morning and looked out the window, her car was gone. In its place, parked perfectly at the curb, was a rusted carriage with no horses. Its door hung open. Inside, just one thing, the portrait. The girl was back in it now, smiling. After surviving a terrifying first encounter with Ashwood's supernatural presence, Eliza returns to the mansion, compelled by a mysterious pull she can't explain. She finds the hidden hallway behind the staircase completely exposed now, leading once more to the sealed blue room. The iron lock on the door opens on its own, as if the house is inviting her in. Inside, the room is disturbingly untouched by time. Decorated in pale blue wallpaper, a child's bed, and a porcelain doll surrounded by handprints and ritual objects. When her flashlight dies, Eliza briefly sees a faceless, unnatural figure step from the wall. She flees and slams the door shut, stopping the whispers for now. Through further exploration, she finds evidence that the blue room was where Margaret Ashwood, a child ancestor, was born and slowly consumed by the house's influence. Eliza uncovers a hidden ritual chamber beneath the estate, complete with symbols and remnants of dark ceremonies. She realizes Ashwood was designed as a gateway, a house built to let something in. The house begins to change around her. The architecture warps. The portraits move. The whispers now speak her name even during the day. She tries to flee, but every door and window seals shut. The final horror? A message carved into the blue room's door. You opened the gate. Eliza is no longer a guest. Ashwood has claimed her. Trapped inside Ashwood, Eliza begins uncovering the estate's forbidden past. She finds hidden rooms, diaries, and decaying documents that reveal how her ancestors, the Ashwoods, were occultists who communed with something beyond the veil. The house wasn't haunted. It was consecrated as a vessel for ancient entities known as the Murmuring Ones. Eliza discovers the truth about Margaret. The girl was chosen as a listener, meant to be a living conduit for the whispers inside the walls. Eliza herself is revealed to be next in line, chosen by blood and fate. The Blue Room acts as a nexus between worlds, and Eliza's presence has reawakened it. The spirits grow more hostile, and the house begins to reshape around her, preparing for a final ritual. Ashwood plunges fully into supernatural chaos. Time distorts. Eliza loses hours at a time, sometimes waking in strange rooms or bleeding from her ears. She speaks aloud in languages she doesn't know. The whispers begin responding to her. Desperate, she attempts to destroy the Blue Room, but finds it now impossible to enter. It vanishes from the house entirely, existing only when it wants to. Eliza uncovers a blood-soaked ritual diary from Silas Ashwood, the original patriarch, describing the listener's rite, a ceremony binding a descendant to the house forever. Eliza realizes the whispers have been grooming her. The final page of the diary says, when she accepts the voice, the gate will open. The walls whisper louder than ever. The ritual begins, whether she agrees or not. The final chapter. The house breathes. The walls bleed. Eliza is dragged back into the Blue Room, now twisted into an impossible, shifting maze. There, she meets the spirits of those consumed before her, including Margaret. They beg her to end the cycle. With their help, Eliza confronts the heart of Ashwood, a living void in the walls where the Murmuring Ones dwell. To close the gate, she must sacrifice herself or someone bound by blood. A final choice looms: embrace her legacy as listener or destroy the house, even if it means dying with it. In a terrifying climax, Eliza defies the whispers, sets fire to the estate, and binds the house shut in a ritual of her own making. The story ends ambiguously, with the house in ruins, but faint whispers still heard beneath the ashes. Thanks for watching, Dark Dreamer. Please hit the like button and subscribe the channel for more horror and scary unsolved mysterious videos. Thank you.